on to our second Knights Talks. Today, we're really happy to have with us Greg Torchon. He's also known by G. He's also known by Torch. And he is a 2010 alum from SJR. Went on to, was a great basketball player here, and he'll tell us a little bit about that experience. Went on to play basketball at SUNY Potsdam, and then became involved in the career you'll be hearing about today, which is the personal training and studying biomechanics. So without further ado, Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Just to start out, we started off with a question already, and it's basically going to lead into why I chose SJR. Definitely, it was a question by Hillary. She asked, "What made you choose SJR over all other high schools? What stood out, made you want to be a Knight?" So for me, faith, number one. I'm very religious. My mother instilled that in me young, so definitely faith was a big thing. Basketball for sure. I grew up in Spring Valley, New York, so like the areas around Spring Valley, kids played sports all the time. But as I was growing up, people were starting to branch out into like the Jersey, tri-state schools. So just for me personally, my brother had been there when I was in 8th grade. He was a freshman at St. Joe's. So I used to show up to the games all the time, and just the environment. I fell in love with the environment for sure. The people, I already knew people there. I had friends that I was in 8th grade with that was coming with me to St. Joe's. So the biggest thing, the environment for sure, the people. The people stood out. Everybody was nice when I went on my visit. So definitely, and obviously you guys know sports, we're top in sports, so can't beat that. A lot of memories too. I'm just gonna be, you guys see me going back and forth, just reading a couple bullets. Definitely a lot of memories at Joe's though. Too many that even till this day that we still talk about, me and my friends. Basketball wise, I was telling them earlier, Arlene earlier, that I think out of the 4 years, we only lost about 9 games. So I was probably like 80, 90 wins. So shout out to Coach Doherty, Coach Davis, Coach St. Rose. So that was a great memory. And you guys know the locker room talk, hallway talk. That's the biggest thing for high school for me. Cherish those moments with your peers. Definitely, these moments don't last long, guys. You guys know, whoever's in here from freshmen to seniors, time moves by fast. So cherish those moments for sure with your peers. Teachers, I fell in love with the teachers here for sure. Going from Mr. Coppola, that was my guy. Mr. Kivett always would stop classes, give us like little life lessons. Miss Buron, Mr. DeStallo. I'll tell you guys a funny thing, quick little story about Mr. DeStallo. For you guys know, Mr. DeStallo used to come in and, you know, sometimes he'll be joking in class a couple times, and, you know, maybe in the first 5 minutes of class, he's joking with everybody, and then right away, he's like, all right, time to get serious. And you could be joking with him for the first 5 minutes, and that 6th minute comes and you try to joke with him. And for you guys know, Mr. DeStallo is quick to say, get out. Right. And that for me, you know, I learned, it's like a valuable lesson that you learn from that, right? There's times to joke around and times to take things serious. I don't know if you guys follow, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. I follow him a lot, especially these last, 5 years, and his motivation. And one of the speeches that he gave was about the movie Gladiator. You guys might be young, maybe you haven't seen that movie, but I'm sure most of you have, or your parents have. There was a scene in Gladiator where Russell Crowe, who plays Maximus Decimus Meridius, he picks up a piece of dirt, right before he goes into war, he's about to fight, and he sniffs the dirt, right? And from then on, right, he switches that mind, it clicks in his head like, it's go time, right? He's about to engage in war. And that like flows into what Mr. DeStallo was like, it's time to be serious and it's time to joke around. So I definitely learned a lot from being at St. Joe's. Definitely the most important thing I learned was just hold yourself to a high standard, right? Vir Fidelis, we always talk about faithful man. My parents used to walk around and tell people like, yes, my sons go to St. Joe's, and people automatically would say, oh man, he must be smart. He must be respectful. And, you know, I took that with me, right? Not to saying you're above anybody, but just the way you carry yourself, right? You just we're not above nobody else, but you gotta carry yourself with that high standard of, we are St. Joe's, whether you're athlete or academics, right? Wherever you go, people take pride in being a Green Knight. And a lot of people, even outside of when I'm in the city, and I work in the city, being in the city, people always tell me, oh, St. Joe's, I know St. Joe's, you must be, and they automatically assume what type of person I am before I meet them, and it's all good quality. So that's the biggest thing that I learned coming out of Joe's. Coach Doherty, I gotta tell, he was a great guy for me. As you know, I was very stubborn in high school, Coach Doherty tell you, but he's just a passionate guy. And very defensive minded, which I was a defensive player. So definitely fell in love with St. Joe's and just his desire. So shout out to Coach Doherty for sure. I'm just gonna get into college. So I went to SUNY Potsdam, as Arlene said. Just a little backstory, like reason why I'm very stubborn, coach. You know, I've never really worked out in high school, like on my game too much. So when I got accepted into Potsdam, that summer from senior year going into college, you know, they give us the program, the strength training program. I just locked in that whole summer, right? Worked on my game, got stronger. So I went into that year and I started as a freshman. Went through freshman year, enjoyed my college time. As you guys know, with seniors going into college, right? Enjoy those times in college. Sophomore year came, I was excited. I busted my butt all during the summer. I had actually stayed in school for the entire summer, right? I sacrificed my summer just to work out, right? Because when I went to college, you don't know what you want to do. I had a goal, right, of playing overseas basketball. I know, right, if I keep working out, just by that senior year going into freshman year and the work that I put in, I was like, all right, I know I could play overseas. So that was my goal, right? Nothing else. My goal was to play overseas, and, you know, make money, travel, and keep playing basketball. You know, I love the game. So sophomore year came around. I stayed all summer, worked out, and unfortunately, I fractured my right wrist. Now, if you fracture your wrist, you can still work out. So I was still dribbling with my left hand or shooting with my left hand, running. So I missed my sophomore year, but still, I was still, spirits was up, I was still positive. After my sophomore year, sacrificed another summer, right, just to continue working on my body, right? Probably I was doing like 2 days, working out twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, right? So my game was coming along, I was growing. So as the next year approached, the next sports year, the basketball season approached, you know, I suffered a season-ending stress fracture on my shin, right? And that was just due to overtraining, right? I was in there putting a lot of work, but I didn't know the body like that. I was just working hard. I just woke up every day, read quotes, got to it, and just, you know, I had a goal in mind. So obviously to reach a goal, what do you got to do? Set daily goals, set weekly goals, and work at it. So that's what I was doing. You know, unfortunately I had the injury. So I went through my PT, came back that next summer, and, you know, something didn't feel right, right? I felt okay. I recovered a little bit, but something just didn't feel right. So another summer passes by, right? There's already 2 years, right? So that goal of me playing is already like, all right, it's still strong. It's like, all right, you gotta get on the court, man. You gotta get on the court, show what you've been working on. So unfortunately, again, I had another season-ending injury on that same shin. So from then, you know, I guess for some of you guys, you know, it's your true character, like true test of your character, like reveals itself when you're at your like darkest moment. And for me in my life, that was like my darkest moment, right? I had a goal in mind. I was working at it, and my body was just not allowing me to reach that goal. So, you know, I started studying the body a little bit. I had taken a personal training class, right after I got hurt. And, you know, it sort of happened, sort of fell into my lap of like me thinking, all right, I'm hurt all the time. What is going on? I need some way to fix this, some way to help myself, right? So I started studying the body, seeing what was wrong. And I fell into personal training, right? When you're going through that time, you're still in a dark place. So I sat back and I asked myself, like, truly, all right, if I can't reach my goal right now because I'm just hurt. So what am I gonna do? Like, what makes me happy, right? What am I really passionate about, right? And those are sort of the questions that you guys should be asking yourself, right? That's what I wanted in my life. I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. I was passionate about playing basketball. Now that I couldn't do that, it's what's the other options? So, I was majoring in business and minor in communications at the time, just to have, even if you guys have one goal, I still had a couple backup plans of, if I had a business major, I could start my own business, own my own business, whatever it is, minor in communications, talk to people, relate to people. So I still had sort of a backup plan. But for not reaching that goal, for me, it was just about just finding what I could do next. What am I passionate about? And I was helping, during my times in college, I was training a lot of kids, whether it was like my team, just people in the college, and I was always receiving great feedback. And, to have somebody reach a goal or hit you up after the workout and be like, man, I feel motivated through the week, or I feel inspired throughout the week, that like, it clicked in my head of, this is my calling, right? This is what I wanted to do. This is what I needed to do, right? So I started focusing on training. So for you guys, like in college and school, for me, like it's really about finding who you are, right? It's more than just, memorizing what like great people did, right? You gotta, or playing it safe, right? You can't really play it safe, right? Everybody, you have to, like LeBron James says, strive for greatness. You have to find your own greatness, right? And everybody has their own path of when they reach that greatness. And I'm still striving for it, right? But definitely like find yourself, right? Because if you really don't know yourself, how do you know what do you want to do or know anything, right? So that's the biggest thing school and college did for me, right? We all have philosophies and beliefs, right? You just got to learn how to like show it and articulate it. So going into training, as you guys mentioned, I started training that summer, right when I graduated. I made a presentation to my brother, which is actually funny. It was just like a presentation to invest in me to get my certification. And during the presentation, I was looking up certain gyms, where to work at. And I looked up 24-hour fitness, sports club, and I came across Equinox, right? So one of the things I presented to him, or I did during my research, was, all right, I want to find a gym that makes the most earning potentials, right? And networking, right? Career advancement. And that's what Equinox did for me, right? It was the highest paid, during my research, was that you could make the highest amount of money working at Equinox as far as like company. The networking for sure. You just meeting a lot of different people. Actually through Equinox, I was able to be signed with a fitness modeling agency. And through that, I was able to work with different brands like Nike, NBA, Macy's. So just by me researching the area of where I wanted, like New York City, I knew that area, and networking. And right, the building blocks, I talked to earlier with Arlene, like high school, college, you want to start building your foundation of who you want to be. And that's what I was doing. So when I got to that point, of just being who I am, being personable, and just trying to make it, right? Just working hard, trying to figure out what we're doing. I know I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but now I'm putting everything into plan, into fruition. So
great question for you. When you mentioned you were working a bit with Nike, you were doing modeling for them. What were you doing with them?
Yeah, so I was doing fitness modeling. So when I was at Equinox, I ran into, a whole bunch of situations happened. I got signed by a modeling agency called Wilhelmina. At the time,
that's a big one. Yeah.
At the time, I had no idea what a Wilhelmina was, but I definitely just through the connection at Equinox, I was able to sign with the agency. So what I do with Nike is it's different. I do like showroom stuff. Like if they have spring 2020, they got LeBron or Kobe, Kyrie, any shoes coming out, clothes coming out. You know, I'll sort of model the clothes for upcoming clients, like, you know, different clients who buy from Nike, right? Your Finish Lines, your Foot Lockers. I do print, so online print. I work with Under Armour. If you guys see on the catalogs at St. Joe's, I know Coach Davis had mentioned that to me, that he had saw me on the catalog. But yeah, I do different photo shoots, do fitness stuff with them. So that's the biggest thing I do with, you know, I do a couple fashion things here and there, worked with GQ a little bit. So it's just that networking, right? And working at Equinox and being in the city, I was able to transform that into better opportunities for me. So it was definitely great.
Right. I just want to remind folks, you have questions, just type them on in, because we'll be answering questions throughout the presentation. So please ask Greg whatever questions you may have about, you know, about the topics that he's talking about, other topics that you're thinking about, whatever, you know, he'll address the questions for you. He's looking forward to that. Thanks.
See the questions, guys, so bring them in, send them in. Another thing with Equinox that I really loved was the continuing education part. And personal training itself, right? When you're training somebody, you have to continue to keep yourself educated, right? You guys know the trends of personal training. There's so many different trends. So you have to stay educated, whether it's knowing the body, biomechanics, just knowing the movement, just knowing everything that you want to know to be successful, right? It's definitely important. And Equinox did that for me. You know, they actually pay you sometimes to take classes, right? Because they want to see you certified. When I went to my first meeting with my manager, first interview, one thing he told me was, it's not about, you know, we don't want you to stay here for long, right? We want you to build, right? Educate yourself and start something else. And that resonated with me the most. Just gonna read some things that I was talking to. What makes you successful as a trainer? You know, everybody judges success differently. For me, the most important thing was happiness. I'm happy and passionate about training. So because I wake up happy and passionate, I'm gonna work at it, right? You gotta be consistent. So I'm consistently working at something that I'm happy and passionate about, right? And I'm committing to that, right? Definitely your clientele, I guess that makes you successful. If you're getting clients, or whether that's training or modeling, right? If clients consistently bring you back to do a shoot, that's like one of the most important things for me is at the end of the day, you gotta get the job done, right? Whatever you do, whatever career you're in, right? It's about getting the job done. So that's the biggest thing. I see a question over here.
A couple questions came in. In college, what courses did you find work best for personal training? Did you actually change your major to personal training, or did you take courses after you graduated, or how did it work for you?
So I was a business major and a communications minor.
Right.
Took a personal training class, right? That was NASM based certified. That's one of, if you guys look at certain certifications, NASM is, they say it's like one of the top certifications to get. So once I took the class, that for me it was just about doing my own research, right? I was in my last year of college. So to be able to switch my major, that would have been tough, right?
Yes.
So I just knew that, all right, personal training is a business. So with my business degree and my communications minor, personal training is about being personable. So I knew I could make it work with those different things. But there's definitely there's, you know, different schools that are master in biomechanics or sports med, right? Whatever, there's definitely schools that have courses that are designed for that. So I'll definitely look into that. And it's just as simple as going on Google and typing in top schools for biomechanics, top schools for training,
exercise
right?
science or exercise physiology, right? So those kind of things, absolutely. So, and I'm sure your business degree came in handy, and in every walk of that you're taking here, whether it be in the modeling agency, whether it be in the, right?
Definitely, big time, right? How to carry yourself, how to run a business, right? I only work at Equinox, but I have a private outside business, right? It's only, if I encourage you guys to start training, right? It's not only about finding a private gym to work at or anything like that, because for me, that's what worked for me, right? If you guys have the clientele to start your own private business, that's great, right? But for me, I need to like get my feet wet, see how to train. But I have my own private business, so that my business degree, that definitely helped starting that.
Huge. We have another question. Is it more feasible to work in team training for a specific sport like soccer or baseball? What are some of the expenses incurred by a trainer?
It's more feasible to work in team training. That's just based on the individual. I love the personal training aspect, right? I love the face-to-face, me versus you, getting to know you and seeing you reach a certain goal. But I do some group training stuff as well. Like I'm actually working on a couple programs that are group training. So it's based on your preference. If you like the big crowd and it's more sports specific, then that's definitely something I would look at. There's a lot of earning potential too for both. So that's the biggest thing. When you start training, you have to figure out, all right, what do you want to do? Like what clientele you want to focus on? Does it want to be group, individual, right? Do you want to do virtual training? You guys see online, a lot of people doing virtual training. So it's just based on the individual. And what are some of the expenses incurred by a trainer? I'll tell you guys, expenses for sure, education, right? Continuing education, you're gonna have to spend to get certified. I know NASM was about like $499. That pitch that I made to my brother, you know, I was a broke college student. I asked him he was working for GE at the time, and I asked him to invest in me. The investment was now that I look at it, to me it was a lot at the time. Now I look at it, is nothing. It was $1,500. I told him to invest $1,500 for me to get the book, certified, liability insurance, different things like that. So it doesn't take a lot, right? There's always, as you're training, you're gonna start making more money. So the biggest thing I think with expenses is the continuing education, and then obviously equipment. If you want to have your own gym, you could start your own gym. So that's another expense. So there's a lot of different expenses, but really based on what you're trying to do.
Are you still with Equinox? Is it Equinox?
Oh, for sure, definitely still with you.
You're still with them.
Yep, I feel my job is not done there yet.
Okay.
I got it. Job that I got to do there. I'm not done there yet.
Cool. And John Assalta, I don't know if Mr. Assalta, you remember Mr. Assalta?
Mr. Assalta, that's my guy.
He's online. He's online, and he's asking how. I don't know if he's still in Mexico. Oh, I envy you if you are, Mr. Assalta. How is your income divided between training and modeling now? And going forward, where would you like to see that road bring you? How would you like for it to be divided?
Well, all my clients are flexible. So, you know, for me, it's obviously modeling. I'm working with high brands like Nike. All these brands, they pay a lot more for the hour. So I definitely make a lot more modeling, but it's very close because my outside and private business, combine it as well with modeling, is very close. But going forward, right now I'm in a very like great place as far as like dividing these three different things, like training at Equinox, having my own private business, and then traveling and doing modeling stuff. So, you know, there's so many ways that I'm working on now that I want to go, right? But it's about the right opportunity, the right timing, right? So just putting in that daily work. So I'm not sure, to be honest, where it's going to go. I have a lot of ideas. I'm sure you guys, St. Joe's, will know when I do make those decisions and what I'm going to do later on. But I have a lot of options that I'm focusing on. But right now I'm just shoveling dirt, like laying the groundwork every day, and you know, hopefully those things, certain things that I want to do, accomplish, will come into fruition.
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of reflection, and really have making the inroads to great things. So we're looking forward to hearing really about what your future is going to bring for you. Really, good luck. It sounds wonderful, wonderful. Hillary came back with a question about your positive attitude, which is just, especially in time like this, I don't know if your business, in fact, has been affected. I would imagine it has in many ways. But how do you maintain that even when things get tough? You know, things don't always go as planned, right? As we know.
Experience, right? That time that I went through in college, being at the lowest point, you just go through certain things that you don't want to experience that feeling again, right? In my job, I found my calling is to help other people, right? I wake up very positive. I talk to God first thing in the morning, and right there, it gives me my little jolt of energy. But you just have to, I'm happy and passionate about what I'm doing. So I think that's why I'm able to just keep staying positive, right? If I was waking up and going to work and I was just sad, like you see it every day in New York City, especially, you know, you see people on the train and they're just, faces are down, they're, you know, different things like that. So I picked a career for me that I knew I would enjoy and I knew that would bring the best out of me. So definitely just staying positive in that way and motivating and just, you know, outside influences. You have, I'm very self-motivated, but, you know, I read quotes every day. I follow Kobe for a lot. You know, I've watched LeBron. He motivates me a lot. If you guys, I'm friends with K1 Williams. He graduated class of 2010. And even K, I never even told KK this, like seeing him go from, you know, not being recruited to now playing in the Niners, and he almost won a Super Bowl, like, seeing that stuff, like, what excuse do I have? Like, if you see him on the field, he's one of the smallest guys out there on the field, but he's hitting hard, he's running fast, he's doing his assignments. So little things like that, you got to pick motivation from different spots and find, just really self-motivation is big too. So that's how I stay motivated. But thank you for that, Hillary. Appreciate that.
Well, but you don't wait. You're not sitting back and waiting for things to come to you. You're going after those things. And that's, I think, a great message. It's not going to happen unless you work hard and go after what you want.
Right. There's no shortcuts, brother. Like, you have to working hard is what successful people do, right? It's just, I just found something that I could work hard that I'm passionate about, right? But there's no shortcuts. And I'm sure you guys know. Some of you guys are, whether you're going to different schools, you probably got top school, whatever it is. Like, I know, I'm sure you guys been working hard if you're at St. Joe's for sure. So there's no substitute for hard work, fellas, for sure. I definitely wanted to read this, you know, attributes of successful people in the training industry from my thoughts. Definitely be yourself for sure. Definitely don't be a follower. Be more of a leader. Obviously hard work, like I just said, being disciplined, right? Practice what you preach. I can't tell my clients to go have a well-balanced diet, right? And work out 3-4 times a week and doing this, and I'm just sitting at home being lazy, right? So practice what you preach for sure. Wake up with intentions. That's a big one that I learned. Probably towards the, especially in college, I woke up with the intention of, for basketball, wanting to get that goal, but it's definitely something that started changing, like what I do, right? When I go to sleep, I think about that next day of like, all right, what do I want to accomplish for that day, right? Whether you're setting daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, but definitely wake up with intentions is huge. And keep up with the trends, right? If you want to be successful in fitness or personal training, you have to keep up with the trends. There's always new modalities coming. There's just new everything, right? So definitely staying educated is big. And then be personable, right? Be personable. Training is a very personable industry. So definitely being personable is one thing, right? And it starts at St. Joe's, right, fellas? Lay the bricks, right? Lay that foundation of who you want to be and who you are. And it goes a long way, right? It carries yourself a long way for sure.
I know last week TJ Kaleka was here and he spoke about, you know, he has his own business and he talked about some mistakes that he had made at the beginning, you know, and what he learned. When you have your own business, there's a lot to think about, and there's and what have you learned having your own business? Did you make any mistakes, and what did you have to kind of rethink and redo as far as, being successful.
Right. Well, you make a lot of mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, I don't know where are you from. Everybody makes mistakes. You gotta learn from them. For me, starting out training, I was training my clients maybe too hard, right? You think like, all right, I could do this. Why can't they do it? That's the biggest thing when you're training other people, right? I've been working out my whole life. It's hard for somebody who hasn't worked out their whole life for me to say, all right, we're going to start this program, and in order for them to break that ice, they have to be consistent. If they haven't been doing it their whole life, it's tough to get into that flow, right? So starting a business for me is just the beginning aspect of trying to dial back my sort of like my programs for sure, and just like how I was approaching them. Like you have to adjust and adapt to different people, right? Try to match certain people's energy. So that was the biggest thing. Like picking up clients, it wasn't too hard for me, because I would go around and just talk to random people, just to get to know them, and then eventually sometimes it led to training. But that's the biggest thing when starting a business for me, was definitely the training them too hard aspect.
Yeah, you were killing them. They won't come back.
I'm killing them for sure. But they came back. They came back.
Good.
They sort of hit like that period of like almost not overtraining, but they hit a wall, right? They hit it, and you don't want. That's the one thing when you're training people, you don't want them to hit that wall, right? You want to hit a plateau, right? And then you want to change different variables so then you could keep progressing, right? But you don't want them to hit a wall, because then sometimes if you're starting out and you hit that wall, you might not come back. So.
Could you tell us a little bit about the modeling industry? Funny story, what you didn't expect. I mean, it's a whole new world. It's a whole different world.
Whole new world. My first job modeling was with the NBA. So I tease my mother all the time, like I made it professionally somehow. So it's like one of my funny stories. But modeling it's very interesting. Like if you guys go ask my peers that graduated with me, or I never consider myself a model, right? Or, do what models do, but it's a great thing for me, because I'm just in front of different brands that I've either wore my whole life or wanted to work with. And that's leading to great relationships with them and leading to other stuff. So modeling is if anybody is interested in modeling, right? I'm sure at the end, or training, you guys have my email or my Instagram. You could get back to me more about that. That's just more about what type of modeling do you want to do, whether it's fitness, fashion. Definitely, it's a very interesting industry, but it's very rewarding for sure. It's definitely rewarding. To balance out both is tough, right, in the beginning, but it's a lot of my people are flexible, so I'm able to balance both out. But if you guys have anything with modeling, just let me know, with the fitness or modeling industry for sure.
Thank you, Drew. That's great. We had some people have their first experience on the runway last night. So you never know.
Listen, I never thought I would be a model. I never thought I would be a model, fellas. And now I'm working with brands and I never thought I'd be working with. So you really never know, but that's the part of laying the groundwork, right? Who you want to be, right? The biggest compliments I get when I'm training somebody or modeling, right, is they tell me, man, you hold yourself to a high standard, man. You hold yourself very well. You carry yourself nice. Like, obviously I get the job done, but they always talk about my personality. And that's something that I started working on. My parents started working on me when I was young. So it goes a long way. It goes a long way, who you are and who you want to be, fellas.
Absolutely. And those are the soft skills that people don't talk about too much, but that's what's going to get you in the door. And then your knowledge is going to be able to keep you there. But that's and your work ethic. So I think you said a lot there.
I wanted to just read these quick little facts to the fellas real quick. Just going forward about the training business for anybody who's interested. as you guys know, everybody wants to be health conscious, especially during these tough times that we're in now. Everybody's looking for to be health conscious or to work out, be healthy, live longer. 40% of adults are obese, right? That's projected to be 50% by 2030, right? So this is strictly based off the demand for personal training for any of you guys that are interested. Low back pain, what's common in as you get older, low back pain, knee pain, right? I'm sure some of your parents are experiencing some of that as you get older if they're not working out. But that's something that's common in a lot of adults, right? So that demand is always going to be there. Sports, right? I'm missing sports right now. I'm missing the opportunity to see LeBron win a championship. So we're all missing sports, but sports will always be there, right? So the demand to train the athlete will always be there. Social media, I know you guys are on social media a lot, seeing people doing virtual training or just advertising, whatever it is, marketing themselves. So the demand is definitely there. The last thing I wanna read with you guys is that listen to this scale, this range of salary, right? $37,000 to $115,000, right? When I saw that, when I first started training, I loved it, right? Because that's strictly based on work ethic, right? You get what you put in, right? You're either gonna be at the lower number or be at the higher number, right? So that's something that I want you fellas, if you're really serious about getting into that, right? It's the work that you put in, staying educated, right? Because you could it's easy to get complacent with training. You can make good money and just stay complacent, right? But it's how are you gonna push yourself, right? So that's the biggest thing for me with that. When I saw that salary, I absolutely loved it. Because I'll tell you right, living in New York City, making $37,000 a year is nothing, right? So I absolutely love that scale. It's about what you put in, what work you put in, for sure.
You'll be able to park your car for that much money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I looked up real quickly on the, it's called the Occupational Outlook Handbook, and the kids know it, who, that meetings with me in career, do our career exploration. And it's published by the Department of Labor Statistics. And you're absolutely right. The growth potential for this career is tremendous. They're expecting a 19% growth because of the people living older, and because of all the sports dominating many people's lives, which is a good thing, keeping healthy lifestyles. And the need for the occupation is just growing, unlike some other occupations. And that's a real important thing when we are selecting an occupation, to really look and see what the projection of job growth is. We don't want to go into something like, I always use the example, I have a very dear friend who was in the publishing industry. Well, the publishing industry, went kaput kind of thing, everything was online, and, magazines are very limited. And so you want to go into something that's going to be projected to, expand rather than contract, certainly.
And even during this time, right? During this time, we're in a difficult time.
Yes.
Right? I was able to transition my clients to virtual training, right?
Absolutely.
So in a time like this, you're still able to work. So that's something definitely looking at projections is big.
Yeah. Yes.
Last thing I wanted to say for you fellas, just for those who wanted to get into training, figure out what type of training you want to do, whether that's personal, group, sports specific, get certified, right? Do your research on the colleges, the different degrees that they offer. If you have a nice clientele already in high school, I think TJ was a client too. I remember seeing TJ or hearing about TJ in high school, and he had, if you have people already, right, all you need is liability insurance. You can start training anybody anywhere. So for me, I thought it was better for the company to start at a company and get my feet wet and then start my private business. But definitely getting certified, figuring out what type of training you want to do. And, with Equinox going forward, if any of you guys are interested, whether it's modeling, out for Wilhelmina, they're always looking for models. You guys could reach out to me. Training, if you just need advice for a private business, or if you're interested in Equinox, they're always looking for new personal trainers. I'm very close with a lot of the people the hiring staff, so you guys could just contact me through my email or through my Instagram. and that we could just talk and chop it up. So.
Do you do your private stuff through at Equinox? Do you rent space there, or do you have your own place that you do your training?
All over the city, whether it's apartments, my clients' apartment gyms, they have buildings in their gym, right? Or independent gyms, right? An independent gym will say, hey, we need, can you give us $15 for that hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you charge your client, you make minus 15 of that, right? So
right.
Independent gyms, private gyms, it's a little too tough. I remember I was talking to Scott, he was like, oh, do you have your own spot? Right now with Equinox, my private business, and traveling and modeling, it's tough to do that now. I have some stuff in the works, but yeah, definitely with my private business, all over the city, which I love. I love getting to the city.
Probably better than having to pay rent somewhere, right?
Right, exactly.
Good. Any questions? Questions coming in? Any questions that we have as we start signing Greg off? So nice, so great for you to come to talk to us today. Mr. Thutz has a question. Can you share what a private training session would cost with you? What do you generally charge? Well, the family and friends price, or the, we'll say, Joe off the street. What's a private session costing?
So for me personally, my private sessions, I charge $140 an hour.
Okay. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty. And listen, I feel like trainers, who knows, I might start a petition. I feel like trainers are very underpaid. I make $140, which is pretty good, right? I feel like trainers are underpaid, right? Same thing as getting a lawyer, which you need a lawyer for. So many benefits come from working out. So Mr. Thutz is trying to get money out of me, man. He keeps and he said private training costs.
That's funny. They probably want you to support something with the theater program. I think it's important that kids realize that you make that much, is what he said. And that's very important. Yes, it is. It's a good salary, but you work hard for the money, right?
Exactly. Right.
Work hard for the money. Not easy to build the clientele, and you have to work hard, and it's all word of mouth, and like based on reputation. Do you advertise at all, or is it really word of mouth mostly?
Both. Advertise, word of mouth, but really word of mouth, like my clients will tell other people.
Yes.
Just by knowing certain, just word of mouth, and just by knowing people, being in the city, being personable.
Yes.
That's why I started working in the city, and I picked the Equinox that was in Upper West Side, right? Upper West Side's that clientele, it's a lot of family oriented people that, lawyers, doctors. So I knew if I was working in that area, I could build a private business where I could charge $140, right? Or could charge.
Absolutely. That was smart. That was smart. That was smart business move. You learn that in your business classes, right? Know your audience.
For sure. I could not charge $140 a session if I was living in Spring Valley, New York. So
Exactly. So, okay. Any other questions before we thank Greg? I think we're good. I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. And I just want to give I thank Greg so much, and we have his information for you. And next week, same time, actually, same time, same day, Wednesday, we're going to have Tommy Hatton. And Tommy's a class of 15. I don't know if you know him, Greg, but he was a class of 15. He actually helped build an app. It's a Learn to Win app. And what it's done is it's replaced the day of the 3-ring binder and 45-minute lectures as far as the playbook kind of thing. So this app is really being used in college programs, basketball, football. So this should be very exciting as well. So again, a love of sports, kind of, putting its tentacles in all different types of businesses.
Right. Yep. So you so much playing sports, so much, so many characteristics you build. That's awesome, Tommy. That's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. So everyone tune in next week for Tommy. I'm sure it'll be very valuable information. And thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day, and stay healthy, stay well, be safe. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Greg. Thanks again.
Thank you.